Perpendicular.
Fun.
Last class we talked about lines that were parallel, right?
Wait, where are we?
Okay.
Page 23. We went backwards? No, because we just did
Yeah, we
page
went.
25.
Yes, we went back because we didn't finish this lesson. Right? So what we said last class is that two lines that are parallel, and you guys definitely all agreed, were ones that never intersected, right? And we also said that we can identify them as lines that have the same slope, right? So parallel had the same slope. Nope, just a reminder, right? So here's where people get confused when they see perpendicular, right? Obviously, if lines are not parallel, and parallel lines have the same slope, then perpendicular lines are lines that do not have the same slope, right? If lines don't have the same slope, then they're skewed from one another, which means that eventually they would do what? Meet, intersect, right? Now that's where people get confused. They think that if lines intersect, then they're perpendicular. Not true. Lines that are perpendicular are two lines that intersect. So that part is true. And create 90-degree angles. So these two lines right here, guys, definitely not perpendicular, right? Just said it. These two lines, obviously, do they form right?
Are they not? They're not making a 90.
Do they make a 90-degree angle? These two lines, perpendicular. Right?
They literally have to look like that.
They have to look like this, right? So, yeah, like a crosshair. Absolutely. So they could, now they don't necessarily have to be straight up and down. They could be, yeah, they could, exactly. So they could be rotated a little bit. And so the easiest way to think about it is that if you put like one of these in there, see what I just did right there, guys? Right? If I created like a little box in this corner, is it a perfect square? If I tried to do that here, is that a perfect square? No, right? That's like a weird house like shaped thing, right? It's oddly shaped. So I need to be able to create that perfect square, okay? Now, please write this down. Really, 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 really important underneath here. Two lines that are perpendicular have opposite reciprocal slopes. And I'm going to really sort of work with that definition with you guys for a couple minutes, okay?
No.
Oops. I went too far. I'm going to start with this one with example 2, and then we got more to fill out. I understand. When I use the word opposite, super important. Opposite just means change the sign. Make a note of that. Opposite means to change the sign. It means a positive becomes negative, a negative becomes positive. Okay? And then reciprocal means what? AB becomes BA, right? A over B becomes B over A. So let's start off here with example 2. Read that. Negative 9/2. To be perpendicular to this, I need to change the sign and switch the items in the fraction, right? So make it 2/9.
So you do that every single time?
Well,
So why don't they just put it in for us? Like, why don't they just make it in that form for us? Why do we have to do it?
because you'll see in a second. Hold that thought. Number 3 is 1/4, right? 1/4 is positive, right? So this is going to be negative 4/1, or just negative 4. Now I'm gonna go back to the 5. Make the 5 a fraction. 5/1. No, okay, hang on. That's why I waited on this one. This is what I'm starting with, Alyssa. Just 5, right? If the number 5 was a fraction, it would be 5/1, right? Now what's perpendicular to 5/1? Negative 1/5. So Michaela's question was, you do every single time.
No, my question
Yes.
is, why don't they just do it for us?
I don't know. Why don't people add 2 and 3 for you?
They can. They'll put 5 on the paper instead.
Make 0 a fraction. 0/1. Now, here's the thing. This is the special case. Okay, this is the only special case. 0/1. 0/1 has no opposite, because 0 is neither positive or negative. So I can't change the sign, so let's ignore that. Take the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal? 1/0, but there's something wrong with that. No, well, there's no way, you can't. Okay, actually, what's 0 divided by 1? 0. 0 divided by 1 is 0. So that's why 0/1 was 0 to begin with. But what's 1 divided by 0? It's not 0. It's undefined, right? You can't. Want me to explain it to you? This is 0. This is undefined. So here's the deal. Something with a slope of 0 looks like that kind of a line, right? Something with a slope that is undefined looks like that kind of a line. And if you put these together, would they be perpendicular? They would, right? They would create a right angle. This is the only case that's special. A 0 and an undefined. So if somebody says, what's perpendicular to 0? You say undefined. If somebody says, what's perpendicular to undefined? You say 0. Cool? All right, so the blanks. So there's something kind of weird here, guys. If I was to take all of these answers, right? And this is a good way to check to see if you've done your work right. We said that 5/1 is perpendicular to negative 1/5. You guys agree with that? Okay. Now, I'm going to give you guys a new symbol. This symbol means perpendicular, an upside down T. Okay, the upside down T means perpendicular. If I took two things that I thought were perpendicular and I multiplied them, what's 5 times negative 1? And what's 1 times 5? What's this fraction reduced to be? Negative 1. Okay. Example 2. I had negative 9/2, and I said that that was perpendicular to 2/9. What's negative 9 times 2? And what's 2 times 9? Which is? And our last scenario was 1/4 and negative 4. 1/4 is perpendicular to negative 4, which can be made negative 4/1. 1 times negative 4, 4 times 1. So if you want to ever see if you did it right, multiply the slopes together, and you'll always get negative 1, with the exception of the special case. Exactly, right? So two lines are perpendicular if the product of their slopes is negative 1. And that's your check, right? That's how you know you've done it right. When you multiply them together, yes. All right. So, example 1. I want to know if this line and this line are perpendicular. What's the slope of the first line? 1/3. What's the slope of the second line? -3. Well, if I take 1/3 and multiply it by -3/1, I get -1. So yes, they are. How's example 2 a little different? Yeah, I didn't give it to you in the nice form where y is already by itself, so you got to do, because you don't know the slope until y is by itself. I mean, the good news is, like, the second example is kind of easy to get the y by itself. All you have to do is divide by the second piece. This one over here, right? Yep. So in the second part, I get that. So that one's pretty easy to get the y, right? Get the y by itself. So in the second one, my slope is the -5/4, right? How about in the first one? What do I need to do to get the y by itself? Add the 4x, good. That gives me 5y equals 4x plus, oh, I need to what? Divide by 2. Gives me a slope of 4/5, right? So if all is well, then what's going to happen? 4/5 will be -1. That's -20/20. So these are, right?
Did you flip them?
I didn't need to. I wanted to know, was this line perpendicular to this line? So that was the slope, that was the slope. I multiplied them together and I got -1, so yes, they are. Are these graphs perpendicular? Well, they are if their slopes multiply to be -1. So let's get y alone. What do you want to do here in this one? What should I do first in that? So you should already, when you're looking at this, guys, when you're looking at this one, you should already be a little weary. One is 3/2. There's no way that two positive lines can.
I'm sorry. He uses every color except purple.
There's no way that there's no way that two positive lines can have what? Can be perpendicular, right?
What is that under the thing? That's a he was mean to me this morning. I was being nice. I came to visit him. He was being mean. I told him I hate him.
I sure can. I'm gonna wait.
Can I check my phone?
No, okay, we're just about done. Logan?
Every time my mom walked me into my shoe, hey, get up now. That's what my friends call me.
What are you looking?
No, my friends still call me it.
Product? Product.
No, my friends, like my other friends, call me KK.
You call me Kayla. Other friends call me Kayla or Kay. And I'm just
All right, Kay.
like, okay.
We got 2 examples, and then we're done.
We're done for the day. Can I just go to the board and do it?
No,
That was fun.
we'll do that this week.
Okay.
Or next week, I mean. We'll do some board work. It'll be fun. Yep. What's that first phrase? Right? Guys, I've said this so many times now that if you haven't picked up on it, right, you're in trouble. Write the equation of a line. So you know you need to write the y. And I know I'm plugging in. Wow, you guys are all over this. You're right. You don't have a slope yet. So what do I know? Well, I want my line that I'm going to create to be perpendicular to this. Well, I can only be perpendicular to this if I have the opposite reciprocal slope to that, right? Well, I can't get the opposite reciprocal slope until I get y by itself. So I'm going to add the x. I'm going to divide everything by 4. And I get x over 4 plus 5. Now, guys, I didn't write it there, but what's in front of the x? There's a 1 there. So I know I have a slope of 1/4. And you guys know that 1/4 is perpendicular to what? Negative 4 over 1. And that's the slope that I want to use. That's the upside down t.
It just looks like a 1 over something. I don't like
What
that.
is it?
It's upside down. It looks like 1 over nothing.
It's your perpendicular symbol.
Can you not draw that T thing?
Well, you got to know what that symbol
No,
means.
we know. It's just ugly. And it literally looks like 1 over something. Like it doesn't look like anything besides everything else.
Okay. I promise you that from anytime I ever use it, I'll make sure that I point it out as being the symbol.
Or you could just use a different letter.
Even the thing in
But
front of
it's not a letter, it's a symbol.
No, I get that, but can't you come up with a different symbol? I know it's a symbol. Do you know it's a
What is
symbol?
that?
What's that?
You know that upside down thing?
Wait, what's that? Why don't they just use a different symbol?
Oh my god.
Because everybody knows what that is. Okay, well, I'm telling you that's like the Nike symbol. You have to know what it is, right? Yeah. All right, last problem of the day. Write the equation of a line. So bang, you're going right to
That kid's obsessed with me and I don't understand why.
All right, so we saw the phrase write the equation of a line. We set that part up. We have the point that we want to go through, right? What do we not know? The slope, because we don't have this one in the format that we want, right? Again, I like to make my life easy. I can either subtract the 4 and then divide by -1, or I can add the y and subtract the 2x, right? Yeah, I think I'm going to add the y and subtract the 2x. So if I added the y, I would get that. I would get that, right? So what is the slope of this line that we just got y alone? We got -2. And -2 is upside down t to what?
1 over.
Positive 1/2. And positive 1/2 is what we're putting in.
My phone. Ow.
So I get y minus 4 equals 1/2 of x minus 3. And that is our equation.